we have a practical part of the k-means clustering algorithm in the machine learning. So what is mean by the k-means algorithm and how to solve the problem based on the k-means problem? So we can see. So the practical part will also depict the everything in front of you to see the entire detail. So step by step we will see what is the things we can get to the practical as well. So here I'm just trying to import the some important libraries, that is the NumPy library, Pandas library. Why I'm calling the or why I'm importing the NumPy or Pandas library, because I need to perform some mathematical operations or some mathematical functions required, followed by the numerical Python library, so I can get it. And Pandas library used to get the data in from the data from. So we have this one right now. So step by step I will tell you. So first I'm trying to import the NumPy and Pandas library. Now that's great. After importing this point, now it's time to read the data. We have data. So that is the point you people have to keep in mind. I have just downloaded a CSV formatted file that is known as database. This database is known as the kmeans.csv. This is the available over the internet, so but I have downloaded. So I have to choose appropriate to some values from which I can apply the our k-means algorithm for the clustering purpose. So df is the name of the variable which is used to data frame we have to use, and pd is the name of the our object of the pandas library. So we have prepared, and with help of the pd object we can read the our csv method to read the such data formatted file or the such data set. So we have the kmeans.csv. We can print the top 5 rows whatever we want to print. So you can use a df.head. So with the help of the head method we can print only the top 5 rows or 5 data. But we have a lots of the data, so how we can depict, how can display. So step by step we will see. So first I'm reading the data, I'm just displaying only the top 5 rows to know what are the columns behind. So you can see observe over here we have a 1 2 3 4 5 columns over here. So customer ID 1 2 3 4 5 we have, and gender we have the male, female, and so on. So and age we have respectively. So annual income and spending score are the two important features you can observe over here, on which I can make the our cluster. So that is the only way which feature, which columns you want to make the cluster. It's a choice. So how many columns we have? Customer ID, gender, age, annual income, and spending score. So these are the things which are already given into the our data set. So we are using as it is. I'm not changing anything. I'm not replacing any variable name and or attribute name over here. I'm using the column name as it is, which is given over here. So after this point, the point you have to keep in mind, k-means is our algorithm of the clustering algorithm as we know, and this is under comment to the unsupervised learning algorithm, and that is used to data in from the continuous nature mode. So when I'm discussing anything with the continuous nature based data, so what we have the k-means clustering. Other than the k-means clustering, we have many other algorithms by which we can do. So, but as per the curriculum, we have to use the k-means clustering. So we have using this point right now. So this can be easily implemented after learning the numerical portion and theoretical portion. So we will see each and everything step by step. As we know, this is an unsupervised learning model. So it means that we don't know where data are lying, or output is unknown due to the unlabeled data. Because suppose I'm talking about the spending score, I'm choosing as a feature. So 3981. Do you know before applying any algorithm or algorithmic steps, do you know the 81 belong to the cluster C1 or C2, or maybe the cluster 1 or cluster 2? No. So this is point we can say we have the unknown data or unlabeled data. That is the only meaning we have over here. After executing this cell, now we have to jump to the next cell, which describes the total size of the data. So with the help of the shape variables by which you can display the total number of the data, total number of the rows or columns we have in the our data set. So total size of the data set, I'm choosing the df.shape. So let me execute this code, and you can see we have a 200 data we have, and one is we have the 5 rows and 5 columns. And what are the 5 columns names? Customer ID, gender, age, annual income, and spending score. So these are the various terms by which you can choose the, or we can represent the data, or we can understand or analyze the data properly. So we are following the data preparation step. Here I'm not applying the drop and name method or fill in method to solve my problem, but if you need to determine how many null values we have in such points, then you can apply the drop and name method to determine how many null values you have, and all the null values will be dropped in the rows. So that part we have already seen in other programs, but here no need to use over here. So we have a 200, that is sufficient only. Now, next students are various point they have the. So how to determine the columns, how many columns we have? There are two ways. One, you can use the column method by which, or column variable by which you can do, or you can use the head method, or just display the all the values of the data frame, so everything will be given in front of you. So this could be the various method by which you can choose your, you can display the columns. So after clicking on the, or after executing the columns, data frames column, we have a customer ID, gender, age, annual income, and spending score is the our columns. Next we have the info method. Time to time we will discuss the important method because our learning should not be end. So after during the learning the program, we will try to explore some different methods, so we can explore our Python libraries in detailed manner and apply all those functions to our program to enhance the beauty of the program only. So the info method gives us the complete detail of the data frame. So info method you can use, it means as a name given over information, like total number of the values holding by each column and rows, so null and not none. So that is the point from which you can determine how many nulls we have. Is there any null values are opting by the our such column or not? So before applying the drop-in method, you can use this method to determine how many null values, or is there any null values applicable or available in our data set or not. So it is better idea to you can use before applying this method, info method, before applying the drop-in method. Let me execute this code. Now, so customer ID does not contain any null value. It contains the total values, that is 200. Okay, and it does not contain any null values, so it is giving the non-null. So customer ID, gender, age, annual income, and spending score are our 5 beautiful columns names, and every columns contain the 200 values. It means it doesn't, each and every columns does not contain any null values. It is a simple answer we got. And data type means data type. What is the data type of the our respectively columns we have? So we have all these values. And what is the memory used by this data set? That is a 7.9 something kb. That is kilobyte. Now, if you want to explore your data set in more detailed way, so you can use the describe method. So describe method describe the mathematical functions values. You can see this method works only the numerical data only. So if we have the non-numerical or numerical data, so we will say it will work only the, it will define the only numerical data only values. And what it will do, it will describe the everything. So let me show. Customer ID is our column name, is column name, annual income is column name, spending score is column name. Okay. Now it is clear to all right now? Yes, tell me, it is clear all right now?
Yes.
And why gender is not coming here in the our list of the column name, customer ID, age, annual income, and spending score? We are able to see why we are not able to see the gender, because gender is a part of our list of the columns of this data. Why gender is not counted over here?
Sir, because the describe method counts about very numerical points, count me, but gender is object.
Super. That is a great answer. I got it, because gender value contained by the string information, male or female, so it will not be considered over here. So with applying the describe method, you can see the count. So count, what is the value of the, it actually it will use all the values or the customers or age or incoming spending score. So from first row to the last row, what are the value we have? So total values we have the 200, and if we are getting the mean, so we are getting the 100 mean, and standard deviation we are getting the 57.7 mean. Minimum value we have the 1, and 25 percentile, 50 percentile, 75 percentile we are getting. Maximum values we are getting 200. Same thing it is happening with the age column and annual income column and spending score. Although these functions are not required over here, but sometimes it is required to understand while analyzing the data. But for a betterment, I have given over here. So you can utilize these functions, describe function, info function, to the other data set to explore the beauty of the data. Now, let us check the null values are really exist into our data frame or not. So there is a simple method. Just use is null method along with the data frame object name, that is df. So df dot is null I can put, and how many times that is coming. So I'm applying the additional method, that is the sum method. Let me click on this point and let me show the my proof. Yes. So From the gender ID, it does not contain any null values, and gender, it also does not contain any null value, and respectively age, annual income, and spending score also does not contain null values. So this could be another kind of the approaches by which you can easily determine how many null values we have. So fortunately, we don't have any null values in our data set, so no need to use a drop in method or fill in method. No need to use over here. From this point, we have to start our thing properly, and here we have to plot our data points on our graph. So most of the thing we will see through the graph. So we will focus on the graph functionality and how to depict our data points into graphical manner. So we will see what would be our representation of the cluster. We will see. So far we have prepared the understanding about the data. So we must be happy here to know that we don't have any null value based data set. We have the complete data set because it's a perfect data set, and it does not contain any kind of the null values. Now, matplotlib is a library. pyplot is a matplotlib is a package in which we have the pyplot library. So by which we can use this point right now. So through the matplotlib library pyplot class, we can say right now, speaking over here in simple way, we can depict our graph which contain the representation of the data points where data points are lying. So from this point, I can ask the very simple question. We have two values in our data set. One is the customer ID, gender, and age, annual income, and spending score. So we can take the annual income and spending score to represent our information in terms of a simple way. So can anyone tell me right now which is the column I must take as a age with respectively the annual income or spending score? Just can anyone tell me right now what value I must keep? Tell me the value, so I will keep only those values which are relevant to over here. So I'm just using the scatter graph to between the age and income. So if you want to change something, then you can change. Tell me what are the values or features I must use to represent or make the clusters. Just tell me.
Sir, I think this will be good enough for that age and annual income.
Age and annual income, that's great.
Yes.
Okay, so what is my age, or towards the age, what is my annual income? So these two based on these two information, our data will be plotted on our graph. So I'm not changing anything over here. So with help of the PLT objects, I'm using the figure method. So I'm passing the number of the graph. I'm taking only the one graph size. I have to take into the 15,7, and title I'm giving a scatter graph of the age versus the annual income. So as it is, I'm taking font size 20. If you want to change something, you can change it. X level, I'm just giving the label or link, that is age, and I'm giving the Y level, that is the annual income only. So if you want to see age and annual income in the X level, Y level, you can update. That will be displayed over here. We are not reading the data. But in the case of the scattered method, where I need to pass s equal to age, so here I am passing the column name, that is age. Here I am passing the annual space income space, inside the parenthesis we have the K dollar. So this is our name of our column name. We can pass as it is, and from which data frame it will contain these two columns. So df the name of the data frame. S is our sort, or we can say the segment where it will be displayed to the form. So you will easily see things by the graph. So let me show the graph first, and I will explain more detail about the graph. So because by the visualization mode, everything will be clear in front of you. So after displaying this graph, you will be able to identify, and you are not able to identify how many clusters we can have. So now you can see. Are you able to see this graph?
Yes.
So having seen this graph, are you able to justify at this point? We can have suppose I'm putting the 5 clusters, but you don't know which cluster belong to the which part, or which data point belong to the which cluster. We don't know. That is a big problem. So we can plot the graph. So here we can apply our algorithmic steps by which we can control. So let us move to the next part so you can easily understand. Here we have. So based on the age and annual income, the cluster will be generated. So let us first determine the kth value total cluster size. Okay. So as we know, we must have cluster size first before making the cluster on the data set. So if you remember the numerical portion, as we have discussed, we have to define the cluster size equal to 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to take, you can take. So we need to import the k-means library from the sklearn package. Let me inform you all here for remind you the knowledge. sklearn is a package which contains all the machine learning algorithms or libraries. So we need to import the k-means libraries from the our uh, sklearn package, and k-means k and m both are the capital will be the our class, and we need to import the cluster libraries. So that is what we have to keep in mind. We have to import the k-means class from the cluster libraries from the sklearn package. So because why we have the cluster? Because cluster is a library, and in the cluster we can also have the other algorithms of our clustering. So here I am choosing the k-means. So k-means would be the our name of our class. So I am putting this class over here. Now deciding the k value. So it is necessary to decide the k value before centroid defining as per the k-means algorithm. So we have to choose on the our we have to choose the age and annual income our column. So x1 will be the our 2D array variable which contains the two things. One is the age and annual income. And from this point, I will get all the values from these two columns, that is age and column. So all the values which will be copied into the x1. So why I'm taking this 2D array? Because I need to perform the many operations, so I can perform the any mathematical operation on the array. Previously, my age and annual income was stored into the data frame. So from the data frame, I need to keep this data into the form of the array, so I can perform the any operation following by the NumPy library. One tricky answer I can give you over here: NumPy library will be applicable on the our array based data. So here we have a data frame based data. So how we can apply the NumPy library? That's why I have to transform such information into the our the array. So we can apply the NumPy library based function easily. So that is the only reason we have to keep in mind. So x1 would be our variable, that is a 2D array variable. So we have to keep in mind this point right now. Now, so far we have not started the our. So far we have not started the our kth value. Okay. Okay, let me print the x1 values once again over here. So it is also printing age and income over here. It will take some time to display over anything. So in between you need to ask any questions, so please you can ask. Any point you need to ask, so please you can ask. Okay, now we have got the or received the data in form of the age and income in the form of the 2D array. Okay. Now tell me right now, anyone who need to ask any questions, so please you can ask me right now.
Yes.
Because the program complexity will be increased step by step. So once you are missing the single step, then you will not able to understand the next step. That's why please keep in mind the thing properly. Now, come to the point. Here I am just assuming any kth value. Okay, that is our number of the cluster. So we need to decide the number of the cluster based on the similarity features. So inertia variable treated as a mean sum of the square distance. If you remember the my words in the ALBO method, what I did in the ALBO method, what I did, I have used the, if you remember the my words, I have used the sum of the square distance or sum of the square error, that is the sum of the square distance, and that is our error, and that is also known as the inertia. So inertia is our list type variable in which I will keep the data, or I will keep the values of the our sum of the square distance value. From that parameter, I can say what is the value which is holding by the our this parameter. So we need to use a loop up to the 22 times, or you can use 10 times. So here I'm using only the 10 times only. Please keep in mind I'm taking the 10 times only. And we can get the optimum value of the case. So that's why I'm taking executing this code from the only for the 10 times only. But you can take the maximum value if you want to take. You can take the maximum value 200. because the total number of data we have the 200. So it's a better idea to, as per the theoretical point, I'm just moving to only 10 times only. So by choosing the range function, so n in range, so n would be the 1 to 10, because last value will be always we have to take 1 plus more to execute the loop. So 1 to 10, our n will keep the value 1 to 10. So here we have to use a k-means method, and that is a part of the k-means class. So here I am taking the s variable name, that is a k-means. So my k-mean, okay. So my k-means is the name of the variable, which would be the just object, or we can say, which would be the object of the our k-means class. And by defining its object, I am passing some parameters. So what are the parameters? Number of the cluster. So first cluster I am passing 1, then I am passing another cluster 2, then I am passing the last cluster 10. So 1 to 10 I am executing this code 10 times. Why? Because I need to identify the optimum k value. So what are the other parameter? Initial. So initialization, I can pass the k underscore k dash means plus plus. We have to pass this parameter as it is. So I will tell you the step by step everything. I'm speaking once again the n underscore clusters. So in the n underscore the cluster equal to n. So my loop will for the execute for the 1, then 2, then 3, then 4 up to the 10. Other parameter I'm not changing. I'm keeping the other parameter as it is. So k-means plus plus means we have to select the initial cluster center for the k-means clustering in a smart way to speed up convergence, and instead of the k-means we can use the random. But here we are implementing the k-means clustering, so I have to take over here the k-means plus plus. That is a better option. As the initialization level, we are using the cluster center by applying the k-means algorithm. N underscore init equal to 10. So this is defined that total number of times k-means algorithm will be run in the different centered seed. So it is again optional, but if you need to pass, then you have to pass whatever you want to pass the value. So n initialization is saying to us equal to 10 means number of the time k-means algorithm will be run with the different centered seeds. Now, maximum iteration, what is the maximum iteration you want to take? You can take the 300, 200, 500, whatever you want to take, you can take. It's your choice. TOL. TOL is basically known as a relative tolerance. TOL is equal to 0.001. So I'm just giving this value just like a learning rate in the neural network. So by which we can manage the our weight of the our input or weight of the node. So that's why then the tolerance, if I passing some values in very few smallest value or ignorable value I can pass. So my algorithm, if there is some tolerance occur, then it will be managed by. But it is an optional, but if you want to leave, then you can leave. But I'm taking over here to understand this point right now. So I'm passing a relative tolerance value, that is 0.0001. It is a negligible value you can pass, but here you can use, then you can use, else you can leave. A random state equal to 111, whatever value you want to take, you can take. I have taken. But next is an important parameter, that is our algorithm alcan. So instead of the alkan keyword, you can use the auto, full, or whatever you want to take as alkan. So you can use only the 3 different algorithm kind. One is the auto, full, and alkan. So auto, full, definitely if I'm choosing the auto and full, so there will be no issue to get the efficiency of the data. But alkan is provide the better efficiency on the data that is defined inside the cluster. So that is the only reason, and we can use the alkan method. So alkan is optional, but if you want to use, then by default it would be the auto. So I'm passing the here alkan keyword over here. So alkan means the alkan variation is more efficiently or efficient on the data with the well-defined clusters by using the triangle inequality. So definitely we can pass this parameter. If you remember the my words, so that is centroid. So if I need to determine the centroid, so centroid is what? Centroid is the center value of our object. So from that parameter, I have to pass alcohol, or we can pass the auto or full. By default, I'm speaking, the auto will be applicable. If you're not passing any parameters, so auto will be considered. After this point, what is the data we have in which our transform data will be stored? So in the x1 is a variable which contains the our transform data. I can write over here. X1 is transform data. So I'm fitting my model towards the x1 data. So what is my variable name? My k means. Okay. I'm choosing this variable name over here, my k-means, which is already defined above side. So by applying this one, I'm fitting the my model towards the x1 data, and that is the cross of data in form of, I can write over here for better mind, in form of 2D array. Okay, and then I will also keep the list of the means of the square distance which will be generated by our this object, that is our, let me write correctly, this one, this one. So I will append all the values of the inertia. Inertia is the first, if when the value of the n will be the 1. So please keep in mind, when the n value will be the 1, so inertia value will be generated. Then if if n value will be increased to, then inertia will be generated. So the inertia is a list kind of variable which keep the, or which will append the all the values of the inertia, that is the sum of mean of the sum distance, square distance. It will keep the value in form of the list. And then finally I'm printing the inertia variable. So first I'm executing this code in front of you, and then you can see this code is run execute perfectly. And now I'm printing the inertia. So how many inertia value will be printed? Can anyone tell me right now what would be the value, what are the total values of the inertia will be printed over here? Can you tell me right now? Just tell me how many inertia value we can get it. Look at this code and tell me how many inertia value will be printed.
Sir, 10. Sir.
Okay, 10. Why 10? Can you tell me right now?
So just one second. Sir.
The answer is in front of you, and think and tell me the answer, right? Just tell me how many inertia will be printed over here. Look at the code I was speaking. So tell me the answer. Do not read the comment part over here. That is the old values we have used, which is only defined over here. But here we have updated the value. So just tell me right now. You can guess any values. I can rectify your values.
So I guess 10 because the loop is running 10 times. So
yeah, that is simple answer. Na? You are on the right track. You must have the confidence to speak something over here, because our loop is running the 10 times only. So inertia total will be the total inertia value will be the 10 only. It's a very simple answer. So we have chosen the our nth value from 1 to 10 only. So total inertia will be printed 10 only. Just see this. Now clear? And what is inertia? Inertia is the distances values. We can say this is mean of the subscript distance value, or we can say this is kind of the error, as we have seen in the our graph in the perpendicular portion. So this is the point. Now, so far everything is clear. So total inertia will be 10 as per the one loop. Now is it clear to all right now? So now we have inertia value and we have the kth value 1 to 10. So we need to display the information to get the optimum kth value, and we are plotting a graph to know the alveoli value, or we can say this is the, or as per the my words, elbow point. Okay, of the kth to get the optimum value. Okay, so here I'm passing the inertia. This is only the variable I'm passing over here, inertia. Okay, inertia is my variable. So you can say there are two things: small circle used to point out the data. I'm using this small circle, and dash symbol is just I'm using to for display purpose. Just let me write correctly over here. Yeah. So yeah, and dash line which is used to display the each point by the line style. So here I'm using this point right now. So please keep in mind what I'm using. I'm using the plt.plot. So with the help of the plot method, I'm passing the np.arrange. Please keep in mind, it is not arrange. It is means by arrange. I'm defining the range of the plotting the my data from 1 to 10 only. In the range method, it could be the any method, that could be the arrange method or range method. We have to take the +1 value, that would be the last value. So if I'm taking the 11, then what happened? Our last value would be the 10 only. So in the inertia we have the 10 only value, so I am just running this, I'm displaying the values from 1 to 10 only, so I am taking here 11 only. Same, I'm printing the line over here, so I'm printing the alpha. So alpha is a parameter, it's an option parameter. If you want to give as this option parameter, if you want to use, then you can, else you can leave. And next level, I want to print the number of the clusters, okay, and a number of the cluster means kth value. So kth value will start from the of number of the cluster, or I can write over here inside the bracket k value. And PLT, this one, so inertia. So inertia means sum of the square distance, as we have seen. And after that, I'm printing this with the help of the plot graph PLT object. So I'm showing. Now, this is a graph I'm displaying over here. Now it is clear to all right now. It is visible to all. So as a inertia, we are getting the 2000 to the 1000, 1,80,000. So we are getting this value. You can see when I'm getting the inertia value, so as a when I was a kth value 1 or n value 1, that is number of the cluster value will be 1. So I'm getting the 1,76,108. But when I'm having the kth value 10, then I'm having the 13,752 only. Now, are you able to see these values? So when I'm increasing the kth value, then automatically my inertia will be minimized and minimum only. Now it is clear to all right now?
Yes, sir.
So can you tell me right now, which is the point where I am getting the arm, or my arm is just having the elbow? Can you tell me right now what is the kth value?
So
Yeah, it is 2. So we can see it is 2, or we can get the 4 as well. So whatever you want to take, you can take any value. No one will stop you. So we can say from this point, our value we can get is 2. So k is our 2, that is the optimum k value. Okay, so we have implemented our algo method over here. It's simply because with this simple code we are getting our inertia value without any doubt. But if you try to get the inertia value manually, it will take much time. So that is only we have to implement the algo method over here in the simple way. Now, after this point, you have been observed that there are k equal to 2 is our optimum value. I'm updating this value. So applying the K-means algorithm for the k equal to or n equal k equal to 4 or n equal to 4, that is number of the cluster. So I'm passing the 2 only, because as we seen in the our diagram above mentioned, or the graph which is mentioned above, when I'm having the k equal to 2 or n equal to 2, it means number of the cluster we have the 2. That is our optimum value. So in the algorithm we can pass right now, or I can say this is the my k means. I'm getting the value my k means equal to the k means number of the cluster, that is I'm passing here 2, and rest of the parameter I'm not changing. Rest of the parameter I'm not changing. I'm keeping the as it is all the parameters. So again fit the model toward the k equal to 2. Okay, so x1 is our data which contains the all the data. So here I'm just changing the variable name, which is this one. So this is required to get the center to make the connections between the center and data point. So how many centers we can have? Just can anyone tell me right now how many centers we will have?
So 2 centroids.
Yeah, 2, because we will have the 2 clusters. So based on the number of the cluster, we will keep only the 2 centers value. So I will display everything over here, so everything will be clear to all. So label is deciding which data point is belong to the which cluster. So we have a labels. So labels one I'm giving over here, and I'm just using the public variable name of the my k-means class, in which I have the labels variable. Okay, so how to read the our k-means clustering k-means variable name label? So by using this object, so I can take this one. So my k-means dot labels I'm taking, and same thing I can get the centered value. So centered value I can get it by the our objects, that is our object name is my k-means, as we are creating over here. K-means. And cluster centers, I'm just using this. So cluster center and labels are the public variable name we can access outside the class by using the objects. And what is the object? K-means. Here we are creating, just look at this point out right now, I'm highlighting where I'm creating the object k-means. After this point, let me execute this code, and is it runnable or not? Yes, it is runnable. There is no error we have. So I was talking about the label. So let me print the labels. What is the labels I'm getting? So I'm printing the label. So let me show them my proof. Yes. Is it printing this point right now? Just can anyone tell me right now what is the 0, 0 and 1, 1? Can anyone tell me right now what is 0 and what is 1, 1?
Set the cluster is equal to cluster 1.
Yes. Yes, that is the point. Yeah. See, I can write over here. This will display that the data points are belong to the cluster number. So first cluster identify, I can say the first cluster equal to is indexed by, is indexed, we can say indexed by 0, and second one by 1. That is the point. So our data points which are representing by the cluster 1, so this is the point. So these data points belong to our cluster 1 and other belongs to the cluster 1. Now some of the data points are, we can say it is not sequential. You can observe over in between we have a 0. Are you able to see this? In between we have a 0. Yes, tell me yes or no. Are you able to see after starting the second cluster, in between we have a 0. What is saying to us? Can anyone tell me right now?
So it's overlapping.
No, it's not overlapping. It's not overlapping. It's saying to us, k-means we are using, so k-means would be the exclusive clustering. So k-means definition, as per the k-means definition, nothing, no data point will be overlap. We are not implementing the fuzzy c-means. We are implementing over here the k-means. So definitely we are implementing the exclusive clustering. That is the point. Do not forget this basic. 0 means is saying to us this is a data point which is closer to the cluster 1, so that's why it is identified by the cluster 1 only. That is the only reason, because this data point is determining the closer to the centroid of the first cluster. That is the only reason. Now it is clear right now?
Yes.
Okay, so that is the thing. Now if I'm talking about the labels and printing, labels means I'm just defining the level of the cluster. So centroid I'm taking, so centroid is my name of the variable, so I'm just executing this code. So you can see what is the name of my variable, centroid. So if I'm using the centroid, so centroid is giving the our data point values or the locations where the centers are exist. So if I have the two centers, so we are getting the two values. One is the 42.21 and 40.78. Another centered data points, other centered location, or just its coordinate, we can say with the coordinate values, we are getting 35.12 and 82.8 and 82.42. So we are getting the coordinate of the centers. That is the only reason. We are getting the values, but we are not able to see the graphical way, so nothing will be clear, nothing will be visualized to you. So that's why I have done something here. What I did, I had just used the graphs by which we can see. So far we have used the x1 variable which contains the age and annual income, as you know, and as we know it's a 2D array. So we need to display our information in cluster pattern basis, and for doing this we need to transform 2D array into the one-dimensional array by using rebel method. If you remember my words and Ravel method we have used, what is the purpose of Ravel method? Ravel method is used to transform two dimension to the one dimension array to represent data. So for providing the uniformity, we have to use a h value. This h is means homogeneity. H means here I can say that h means homogeneous. Okay, homogeneous. So the h will be defined the homogeneity between the our data points. So this is the homogeneous. We can say this is homogeneous value. So this is required to preserve the uniformity between the x and y data points. So when you are transforming the image from one dimension to another dimension, so our information will not be lost. So suppose we have a 3D image that we want to transform into 2D, then we have to keep in mind to preserve the all the coordinate value of the x and y. That's why we have to remove or adjust in the z dimension values. So we have to use the this h value. Whatever value you can take any value from 0 to 1 only. So I'm taking the 0.002. You want to make any other value, you can take it. So our actual values will be the x and y coordinates, and that should not be disturbed, or we will not lose any information. So what is the minimum value and what is the maximum value or minimum value of the x and y coordinates? We have this one right now. So x min comma y x max we can take, and x1 is our main data point, from which point I'm using the minimum method and maximum method. By applying these two things, and all the values should be come from the first part. And zeroth index, in the zeroth index we have the a's. Let me show the my proof what we really have or not. See, in this case, just look at this point right now. In the x1, zeroth index belong to the a's and annual income other belong to the annual income. Okay, it is clear right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can write over here in the zeroth index, we have the a's, and first index we have the annual income. Okay, so this is the point you have to keep in mind. Now, so after this point, I'm choosing the minimum value and maximum value to get the values to display on the my graph. So with respect to that values, all the values will be depicted. Now, so we need to use the Mash-Create method. This is the Mash-Create method. Mash-Create is a method from the NumPy library to get or use to create the pairs of the coordinates between a range. And what is the range I'm giving? I give the range. I have to give the range by the minimum value and maximum value, as we have seen, or we have evaluated or we have already seen through our previous code. So same x we are doing, so y we have to do the same thing by min and by maximum, and double x and double y are the two variables which keep the information of the max grid. So np dot max grid, np is the object of the NumPy library, and from that point max grid we are applying, and from the range we have to pass. So what is the range? X minimum and x maximum, and h I have to pass. H I am passing means to provide the uniformity between my data points, and then I have to use the same thing with the by. So np dot arrange by minimum by maximum, I'm passing this parameter, and I'm also printing the double x value and double y value. So max grid function will return the values. We can say transform coordinate values towards the one dimension to the two dimension to the one dimension. So we have two values, one is x and y. So for clustering, we need to make our graph into the dimension pattern to get the proper cluster. Here, z is our next variable, which is used to predict the values of the two dimension to the one dimension, and here I have to transform the values which are receiving by me into the two dimensions. So with applying the Ravel method, Ravel method, I can transform those x all the values into the one dimension and y value into the two dimension to the one dimension. And what is the name of my variable? K means. So my k, I'm taking my k means. So above code will decide the coordinate values with respect to the x and y variables, and which are the our two-dimension variable, because x and y which are identified by our two-dimension form. So let me execute this code and let me show the proof first. See, x is will returning the two-dimension based information. You can see two-dimension array. You can see same thing, we are getting the bi-dimension. Okay. If I try to print, suppose I'm trying to print jet, what I'm getting, let me show. I think I must print this code into the other side, so yeah, we are not getting. Here I must print, and let me check. Yes. Now it should be the clear. This is the x's will be represented by the, okay, I can write over here, values holding by 2D manner. Same thing we can say, values holding by 2D manner. Talking about Z, so Z is what? Z is about transform variable. I can write over here. Z is a transformed Z is a variable to keep values in one dimension. So here I am getting the 0011. So I am executing this code once again, and let me execute this code. This is the point. So towards the Z, I have to reshape. So please keep in mind, with respect to the Z, I have to reshape my values to print the graph properly. So it will be clear the graph for the existing pattern. So from the PLT, we have used this object previously, which is used to depict our graph, and now I'm using CLF. CLF will clear the frame before PLT variable hold some information to the memory. But it is optional, but if you want to use, then you can use. And next is what I'm doing right now. X is equal to x dot reshape. So what I'm doing, I'm reshaping my x variable towards the x, and it is required to toward the x, and we are changing its size toward the x as well. So here what I'm doing, I'm just changing my z variable base information into the x. So what it will contain, okay, what it will contain. So let me print once again over here z, and everything will be clear to all. Okay, and other part I'm just getting into the next yeah, this one. Part V is contained by. Now our values is transformed into the two dimension. Now it is clear right now?
Yes.
Everything is written in front of you, so we are just changing. Why reshaping is required? Because see what we have previously, we have the x and y value in the 2D manner. So if I try to print this information, then we are not justify which value I have to take as our towards our data. So x you can take, y you can take. So is it better idea to be transforming our x and y coordinate into the one dimension first, and we are using the z, and now we are just changing the z variable towards the x shape or x size. If you do not want to this step, you can take the y. If you do not want to take, then you can take the y. So no issue. Whatever you want to take, you can take. Whatever you want to use, you can take. It's a choice. But I suggest to people always keep the x, because x is our important. X is where we can perform the many things. So I'm printing the z value over here. Now previously z was printed into the one dimension, but here z is printing by the two dimension. I can write over here now z will be in 2D. After this point, we have to use the I am show. So that is I am show means just let me write over here. So for a betterment, this is a very interesting point we have to keep in mind. This is the point means image show. Actually, this is known as the image show. I'm show means image show. So by using the image show method, we have to pass the parameter z or whatever we have decided that is z, and we have to use the parameter interpolation. That is the nearest. You can use the farthest or you can use the closest, but you can use the nearest. An extent is our parameter we have to pass. So in the extent, we have to pass the minimum value of the x and y value minimum. X and z, x and y, both value we have to pass minimum over here. And C map is the color map. I can add over here. C map is a color map. Okay. So which color you want to take to print over here? So I'm taking the CMPLT. PLT is the name of the object of the our graph dot CM. CM is the our color map, is the another object of the our image which is available in the image show method, and we are passing the pastel to. Other than the pastel to, whatever you want to take, you can take the other methods which are available in the various list we have inside the image show function or image show method. So pastel to I am taking, an aspect ratio I am taking the auto. So aspect of the image. Your image can contain the aspect ratio. Aspect ratio means the size and bits. I can write over here. Aspect means height and bits of the image. Okay. And origin, it is saying I'm just lower. So all the information which is starting from the lower portion. So scatter, I'm scattering the value that is age. So an annual income I'm taking, and data actually I'm passing the year. And C is equal to level 1. So why I'm passing C level 1? Because all the clusters, all the component will be printed by the level based information, and as I'm passing the 50. And scatter means I'm displaying the other thing, that is the centroid. So here I'm printing all the things, and in the Y I'm taking the centroid as a from the one column. So 100 you can take, and red color. So first I would like to display this one right now. Before this one, then I'm explaining the graph. First look at this graph. Then I will tell you the difference. Okay, tell me right now, are you able to see this graph?
Yes.
So how many clusters we have? So our clusters, we have the two clusters which are depicted by the two different colors, data point as well as the background. So this is coming from the our color map functionality or color map parameter. This is the beauty of the color map parameter. That's why image show method I have taken over here. But in this case, what is the centroid? We don't know. So with the help of this graph, by applying this code x equal to centroid, we have to pass the age and centroid 1. So x value will be identified the its centroid value, centroid values, and y from the y we can find the centroid value. So 0 and 1 we are passing, that is the index value of the age and annual income. And color, what is the color I'm choosing? I'm choosing color value, that is a red only. Okay, C stands for the color, and alpha parameter alpha, that is a 0.5. If you want to take one, whatever you want to take. So let me execute this code, then you will to understand the thing properly. Okay, yeah, it is displaying right now. It is visible to all right now. It is displaying. Are you able to?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you able to see the red color dot that is the centroid point of our cluster?
Yes.
That is centroid. So now this is the functionality we have done by the code right now. It is clear to all people right now. It is clear to all this code. So far we have depicted or we have constructed a two cluster. Now it is clear.
Yes.
Okay. So students are curious. So what I am just doing amendment. I'm just can you tell me right now? Same code, same data I'm using right now. What is the total number of the cluster I must keep right now? So far we have implemented our code by just using by choosing the kth value that is optimum. So we have made the two cluster. But if you want to some amendment, you can do. So can you tell me right now what is the, just I can write over here. Okay. So I can write something over here. So far we have designed, we can say we designed 2 clusters based on chosen kth value as an optimum value, okay. And that was equal to 2. Now this is the point. Yes. So here we can update something over here to do something. So this is a C. This is our, we can say, we finished our code right now, but I have some different thing over here for a betterment. So can you tell me right now what is the number of the cluster I can say over here? Just can anyone tell me or update the code right now? So what should I do? How many cluster I can update? Can anyone tell me right now? Let me show the my proof. How many cluster I must keep right now? 7 we have taken previously. If you want to update, then we can update.
So 5.
Okay, so what I'm doing as per the student request, I'm just updating the cluster. So the code which is already available in the above side, I've just copied the code and I have just pasted the code. I'm just changing nothing. What I'm changing the number of the cluster side, that is 5 instead of the 2 as we have done here. This is the case. See, look at this code. Same thing. I'm not changing anything. I'm just copy the code over here and pasting. So I'm just changing this thing. Okay. 5. Rest of parameter I'm keeping as it is. I'm keeping the again my variable name, that is my k-means. Okay. So no confusion will be there. And I'm fitting the my model toward the x, that is the 200 data, and label I'm getting. Okay. And centered I'm getting. Let me print the centered. Let me print the labels, and let me print the centered as well. So definitely I will have the proof to show the my application point. Okay. So total number of the clusters will be the 5. So label will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and centered will be generated by the centered coordinate. So let me check what did we have. Labels 1. Okay. Let me write correctly. Okay, so data points belong to this centered. So we have the 4 cluster belong to the 4 cluster. Now in between we have 1. It means one, or it means the data point which are coming inside the our cluster point. It means that data point is close to the that cluster. So that's why our data points are available in the scatter mode. So some data points are close to that mode. So in the sequential, there is no guarantee every time we will get the 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1. We can get the mixed kind of information. So here we are getting the mixed kind of information. Now we are getting the coordinates value of our centered. So we are getting h is the homogeneity value I'm taking as it is. I do not changing anything. I'm just keeping same parameter over here, just except to this value, and executing code. And here I'm also not changing anything. I'm also keeping the everything same as it is. Okay, so now you can see the diagram over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can see the different colors, cluster, as well as the red color is showing the red large color point is showing the centroid. Are you able to see this point? The 5 different colors clusters.
Yes.
Okay, this is the point. So we have solved this problem with the choosing the kth value as a 5. So you can increase, you can make your program into different mode, whatever you want to make. Now here we can find the inertia value, we can amend whatever you want to do, you can do. Okay, so other parts is optional. If you want to learn, then you can learn as you can see. So this is the point I'm just keeping as it is over here. So I'm executing this code. Now what it will display? Now see. Now I'm choosing the 1, 2, 3. So what I'm choosing the x3 variable which contain the as, annual income, and spending score. So 3 things I'm taking right now. previously I have taken the two things. One is age and income. So can we take the spending score? So now this code will be updated by the spending score, and spending score we are adding. So our code will be updated by the spending score as well. Same thing we are doing. Nothing. We are doing just we are getting the same thing. And here I'm just changing the number of the cluster value 6, or if you want to keep the 2, if you want to keep the 5, then you can take. So I'm just changing, updating as 5, and the variable name I'm just keeping as it is to avoid the confusion. No need to print the again the label values and this point. This is the point. So when I'm choosing the age, annual income, and spending score, then what I'm getting? I'm putting this information to the cluster 0, and then this cluster will be 4, 0, and 4. So these information are coming to the one cluster, and second to 4 cluster, or number of the cluster. Or you want to print all the things over here. Print levels 3 of centroid. If you want to print the centroid, then you can also print the centroids. See, here we are getting the different things. So total 5 we have. Suppose I'm increasing, changing value 7 I'm doing. So look at. So 0 to 6 centroid I'm getting over here 7 cents. Okay, 7, and 7 coordinate of the centroid I will get over here. So this is the point. So now look at this code once again. 6, this data value which are holding by this value which contained by the 7th cluster 4, 7. So yeah, I'm printing only the top 5 values only. If I want to print all the values, just I can print I just can use only df only. So that is a simple example. Now it is clear to all right now? It is clear how we are getting?
Yes.
Okay, so for your just I have the very small code, so I'm choosing right now the 4. Now this is a code I'm taking right now the Plotly library. I'm speaking once again. I'm using the Plotly library. Okay, by choosing the Plotly library, I can display my graph into the 3-dimension form in we can say in animated way. That is very interesting code I'm sharing over here. You can utilize this code to understand the animated waveform of our code. So with the help of the Plotly library, we can do. We have the plot, the name of the object by plot we have, that is 2-dimension we can print. But if you want to display your graph into 2D into 3D manner, and with the help of the 3D manner you can see. So XYZ I'm taking the age, spending, annual income. So if I want to print my 3-dimension graph, then I need the 3-dimension based information. Age and spending is what I can take. Age and annual income I can take to display my information 2D manner only. That is enough. But if I want to print my information, if I want to display my information to 3-dimension form, then what happened? I have to take the 3 different parameters. So here I'm taking the age and spending a score and an income. So based on this parameter, I can use this point right now. Look at this graph. First, I would like to tell you. Total, I have used the 4. Okay, so 4 cluster I have prepared over here. Now, look at this graph. Tell me right now, are you able to see this graph? 3-dimension graph, are you able to see?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just zoom it and just look at, I'm just moving to the any direction. Are you able to see? I'm able to move into the any direction?
Yes.
This graph, you can see the how many colors the dots you can have?
4 colors.
Okay, so we have a red color, we have the purple color, dark blue color, and we have the yellow color. So if you're choosing the here only the 4, then you can have the 4. If you want to see this thing like suppose I want to see the 5 different clusters, so you can use the 5 and you can run this code once again and pass the parameter, and now you can see your graph will contain the 5 different colors. And what are those? You can observe over here. Okay, some kind of the pink color and orange color, and we can say yellow color and purple color and dark blue color. So now we have the 5 different colors. Are you able to see all the colors, data points? I'm just making the animating just by using the mouse. I'm just animating my diagram or this figure. Okay, tell me right now, are you able to see? So this is the best example of our graph by which I can depict the clusters properly. And one more thing, okay, one more thing, if I try to update this thing by the 2 only, so I'm just changing this code. So 3 here. Look at, now we have only the 3. You can easily see yellow color and just pink kind of the color and dark blue color. So now we have only the 3 colors clusters. So this is what, this is a cluster. Okay, we have a 3 different clusters, and that is the beauty of the K-means clustering. No any data points are overlapping on these things. It means we are talking about the exclusive clustering rather than the overlapping clustering. So this is just idea about the K-means clustering algorithm and how to implement the K-means clustering in the Python library. So this is the very simplest program I have shared with you, but few syntaxes we have to keep in mind from the Python's code as well. And whenever I need to discuss something, I have mentioned everything in the comment section, and I've explained with the help of the mouse over here, then you can understand what is happening over there. The code is very simple, but few statements, few sentences we have to keep in mind for the learning purpose.